Welcome to Talkin Giants. My name is Justin. With me is Bobby and also special guest Nicky Snacks. We're doing a little bit of a Bleeding Blue Giants history crossover. It's our vacation week. We're recording a little bit early. Giants history, Bleeding Blue, Talkin Giants little crossover. Bobby Skinner, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
That's great to hear. I love to hear it. Nicky Snacks, you're one of my best friends in the entire world. Bobby's okay, but you're one of my best friends in the entire world. I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. Talking Giants, you're once a year. You get to come on here. This is it. You're done after this.
This is it. So you didn't ask me how I was doing, but I'm doing great. And yes, best friends, one of mine, easily. You're a great man. And I will say I probably say it on Bleeding Blue before this maybe comes out, but I want to congratulate you on a very well-deserved full-time position with John Boy. You worked your ass off, and I'm very proud of you. Very, very proud.
He got more love than I did when I went full-time.
Well,
three times as much.
Well, the meme I posted, I think, helped.
The meme definitely helped because that was some.
I posted a Trailer Park Boys Ricky saying, "Flow me the money, flow me the money."
Yeah, it's a good one, but I feel like Trailer Park Boys isn't so universally loved by everybody. However,
the MJ I took that personally meme is come on.
I thought that was pretty good. I can't lie, and but Justin, Bobby, I would rather side with Bobby than Justin, just based on.
Sure, Snacks hates me.
That's not true. I am incredibly proud of you. It's well deserved. You worked your ass off, and it's great to see. And I'm always appreciative of you bringing me on to Bleeding Blue. So. You didn't ask me how it was, but I'm doing great, and I hope you guys are doing great too. I hope that my one episode a year turns out well. So happy 4th. Hope everybody had a good holiday.
So what we're doing today, Talk Giants Bleeding Blue crossover. We're gonna talk some patriotic, reflect on 9/11, and hey, here's my one military fact. Did you know that Phil McConkey served 5 years in the Navy before being drafted by the New York Football Giants? He was 27 years old. He went to Navy. You're waving that towel. Talk Snacks. You're waving the towel.
Half of our retired numbers are vets.
Yeah, but that was like my one big fun fact. There was also another offensive tackle who played for the Giants in like the 50s who was really into sketching. He was like he was big. He liked to sketch some sports moments, and that's also another fun fact for you there.
Well, who was it?
I think his last name is Brown.
You can't say it's a fun fact and not know the guy's name.
All right, fine. I can pull it up right now.
That's all right. It's a good little fun fact. I did not know about McConkey, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that
explains
either.
why he was such a tough son of a gun.
His name it was not Brown. It was DeWitt Tex Coulter. He was a center / offensive tackle from Army, and he was really big into sports paintings. His art had almost a photographer realism, and it was in high demand per a 1960 issue of Sports Illustrated. He played for the Giants from 1946 to 1949, then 1951 to 1952, and he went to Army. So there you go. Those are some Giants that served in the military. Go Phil McConkey.
Shout out.
Very cool. Very cool. He was tough. Good receiver.
And also then we'll end the episode. Snacks and Bobby will probably fight about the 2021 Giants because that's what happened last year. And that's honestly what I'm looking forward to.
Listen, I got to say, last year at the end of that, I thought that turned great.
I should have re-listened before we did this, but it's okay.
Bobby's a big fan of like re-listening stuff. I can't do it. I can't re-listen to stuff that's like a couple months or like a year separate. Bobby's really big into like reliving that stuff. I get very self-conscious about like, oh, I was bad. It's like I feel like I've grown since then. I'm a big fan of re-listening to the episode after it came out because I like to hear.
See, I don't.
I like to hear the audio and if I did things correctly, if I made sure that I edited correctly, if I should have edited out an or something like that, like I should do right there. So that's what I like to do. But Bobby's a big fan of like reliving and reminiscing, which I can't do.
Well, it got a little heated last year, but I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot of good points made on both ends.
I'm gonna re-listen tomorrow.
A lot of differing points. Is that a word, Justin?
Differing, yeah.
Differing. Had a long day today. All right, not a lot of sleep. So,
all right, let's bleed some damn blue.
Hair looks great though, Snacks. This is a tradition on Bleeding Blue. We talk about Snacks' hair, how it looks great every week. So Snacks, I'm gonna throw it to you first. So we've had like 25 videos / episodes this offseason. Bleeding Blue, it's only an off-season show. It's a Giants history show. We have our own podcast. It's actually the podcast that I used to do before I joined Talkin Giants. That was the Everyday Giants. I had that kind of platform of over 100 5-star ratings, and I'm like, I don't want this just to go to waste. And the Twitter account had a little bit of a following too. I said, I don't want to just delete this. So how can I like rebrand it? So we rebranded it into a Giants history podcast. So Snacks, this is like our first off season where we're really going on YouTube, and it's been a lot of fun. What have been like some things that, maybe some big picture things that we've learned about, Giants organization, the game of football, whatever, because we've talked about a lot of stuff within a lot of time periods and stuff.
We have. And I got to say, the fact that 25 episodes, maybe more, I think we did a pretty good job, and we still have a month left to go. But so far, I think it's been great, and you've done a masterful job of rebranding your baby, your Bleeding Blue, and it's definitely worked. But over the course of this time, we have definitely learned a lot. Like I've said it before, kind of, I guess, the coaching styles of past head coaches and how they differentiate. Am I just going to keep using this word? And
it's a good word.
It's a powerful word, but I'm not a very intelligent person, so I try not to use big words like that. But the coaching styles that differentiate from like a Ray Perkins to a Parcells to a Dan Reeves to a Tom Coughlin to a Pat Shurmur to a Ben McAdoo, and how they're all different. A lot of times franchises kind of stick with one mold, and they go with that. So they went from Parcells to, who was it, Hanley?
Hanley, who does not exist in my brain.
He does not exist. Right. Exactly. Because he was soft. There was nothing good about him. And then you went to
Dan Reeves,
who was, more of tough like that. And then you went to a Jim Fossil, who was a player's coach, and, he was never going to attack his players or discipline his players like that. And then you went to Tom Coughlin, who we like to call a General Coughlin. And it's just such a very funny dynamic how it went boom, 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 all different. Obviously, when you're failing, you fire your head coach and you maybe try and bring in a different style. And that's exactly what they did. So I loved learning more about the intricacies of the head coaches and what they brought to the table, their beliefs, their attitude, their coaching style. I thought that was very cool because, in our lifetime, I guess Bobby, year older than me, Fossil, Coughlin, McAdoo, Shurmur, and now Judge. Those are the coaches. And then there was a few guys before that. So we didn't really know about, pre-Fossil, pre-Coughlin, and getting the chance to learn more about the way they coached and hearing stories about them from the books we read was it's probably my favorite little thing about it, because we could go off on Giants history forever, talk about games and stats and plays and all these things, but getting to know the head coaches behind the scenes and the way they were on the practice field and with the media and everything like that was always very cool to me.
Yeah, and how a franchise or what kind of coach a franchise hires kind of dictates where that franchise is currently at. It's like, are we going to be a little bit more loose with Jim Fossil? Or are we going to be ultra disciplinarian, or are we going to be ultra tough as nails like we were with Dan Reeves? And obviously Parcells was obviously, I would say, more or less a disciplinarian, but I would still say kind of similar to maybe Coughlin, maybe even a little bit of Judge too. Like, I think this person is also a human, and he understands people, and he's kind of like a people person, which Coughlin was towards obviously the latter end of his time with the Giants too. One of the things that I take away, we watched a decent amount of games, especially towards the earlier part of the offseason. From the 80s, like we watched Super Bowl 21, we watched Super Bowl 25, we watched the NFC Conference championships, some of the games that we had against 49ers and stuff like that. And the game has changed. Now, obviously, no shit, Sherlock. The game has changed. There were 30 players that had at least 10 sacks in 1985 versus in today and at the end of the 2020 season, there were 10 players that had at least 10 sacks. So that just tells you the dichotomy that was present between the two time eras of 80s Giants, of when Giants football was at its best, and then where football is right now, where it's very much get the ball, get the ball in the quarterback's hands, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands as fast as possible so you can limit the overall effect that a defense can kind of have. But also just, watching the games and the broadcasts that especially Pat Summerall, John Madden put on. Big Blue VCR recently just talked about this as well. The broadcasts that they put on and the information that they said, despite not there being a scoreboard always there, right? A scoreboard wasn't always there. Sometimes you didn't know what down it was because you really had to pay attention. And that's something that we take for granted right now. But the information that was present and the things that they talked about, the way that the broadcast team was able to chart things, it was almost like next gen stats. Mm-hmm. And so the things that they were able to include in those broadcasts in the 80s and the 90s were phenomenal. And frankly, I mean, I'm going to argue, even though, there's fancier graphics, and sure, they can make Daniel Jones look all jacked on like those Fox Sports creepy cartoons and characters. Sure, they can make them all jacked, but I think the overall product of the broadcast has gone down since like those time periods, even though it looked terrible, wasn't HD, and the microphones were bad and everything like that. So that's all. I've also really enjoyed going back and just enjoying watching the game. So there you go.
From a completely different perspective of what it was then to what it was now. And the broadcast is also great too, because I'm confident in saying there's maybe one broadcast booth that I truly love listening to, Michaels and Collinsworth, and it's like it. Summerall and Madden were very early in my fandom, so being at the NFC Championship game in 2000, I didn't get to hear the call for that one. But then you had Madden and now Michaels for a while that we remember and everything, and just the completely different dynamic of how they had to call a game to what they have now and the information available now and all these different nuances that they can pick out and say something about. So yes, that is a very cool dynamic that we learned about, and Big Blue VCR broke that down better than that was an impressive episode by him. Very impressive showing.
Yeah. All right, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, before we get talking about our patriotic theme over this Bleeding Blue Talking Giants crossover, let's talk some DraftKings. Let's talk some McGregor Poirier 3. There you go. Good job, Justin. Let's talk some DraftKings. So it's this weekend. McGregor Poirier 3 is all set for UFC 264 on Saturday night in DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. They have a knockout offer this weekend. DraftKings is offering 264 to 1 odds on a knockout in the first round during Saturday's main event. I don't know. McGregor's got knocked around a little bit. He kind of retired. Is he out of it? Is he in it for the money? Does he want to come out on fire and have a first round knockout? Is McGregor going to get his knock blocked off because he's been kind of just coasting and he has this big contract? And anytime that McGregor fights, it's just an event. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want Conor to have the fire. I just want to see a good fight because I am certainly going to watch it, and I may even throw down some money with DraftKings Sportsbook. If the rubber match ends in a first-round knockout, you will walk away with cash. Just pick the main event fighter you think will win by first-round knockout, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you 264 to 1 odds on that fighter. That's right, $1. McGregor, Poirier to win by first-round knockout. You win $264. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if MMA isn't for you. Major League Baseball, the NBA finals are going on, and football's coming up too. Start putting your bets in for football too. For those, opening odds, Super Bowl odds, whatever. Daniel Jones is going to have 17,000 yards. Let's do it. Call to action. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY when you sign up to turn $1 into $264 when you bet on a main event fighter to win by a first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. Let's go JOHNBOY to turn $1 into $264 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9 with it. And now back to your regularly scheduled program. All right. So I figure there's we want to have a little bit of a patriotic theme this episode. And I love this book. Swear to God, if I could sleep next to this book every night, I would. If These Walls Could Talk by Ernie Palladino.
How small's your bed?
it's very small bet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a big guy.
I've seen it, but you could put a book
I mean,
next to it.
I know we've slept together before. What are you talking about?
Oh, by the way, the Sopranos prequel movie dropped today. Trailer dropped today. Anyway, go ahead, Justin.
So we're gonna have a little bit of patriotic theme, especially the month of September. It's gonna be an emotional month. It kind of is gonna be an emotional month. Now, Bobby, were you here in New Jersey when September 11th happened?
No, I was here in Florida. I was in 4th grade. I really have never really like talked to New Yorkers about that day because I mean it was crazy everywhere. Like I remember literally just like getting home from school and going through every channel, and every single channel was covering, whether it was Nickelodeon or MTV, and I have went back and looked at like the live broadcast now that I've gotten older. I don't know if anything could ever happen like that to the country again, where people were to like, I remember the week after and like literally going and holding like, like the country song, the Alan Jackson song. It's like literally like went to a church and held hands with strangers. And it was like, even in the 4th grade, you kind of like felt like, wow, this isn't like this is big, and this is something that's going to be remembered forever.
Yeah, that's Bobby. That's such a great point because I was in 3rd grade and I remember, so I live North Jersey, Bergen County, and the city's not far. The Twin Towers were not far from us, and our principal comes in the 3rd grade and tells us what happens, and then literally goes, "Our country's under attack," and we're 3rd graders, so it's like, are we processing exactly what's happening? Do we know that terrorists just flew planes into the buildings? And then our 3rd grade teacher starts just bawling, crying, calling like numerous family members. And then it finally hits you like, okay, this is something crazy, because all of our parents came and took us out of school. We all went home except for me and another classmate. I don't know why my parents kept me in school, but regardless, it sucks kind of. Anyway, but it was just such a surreal thing, and that you learn more and more about later on as you went. And just like Bobby said, that nothing like that is probably ever going to happen again, but the significance of it and what the Giants did. And I think, Justin, you're about to bring this up. We talked about this when we honored Coach Fossil, was second to none, and really went above and beyond with the efforts to heal New York City and New Jersey area. And it was, and the whole area for that matter in the country, and they were at the forefront of it. So that was very cool, and just a very surreal thing. And it's kind of crazy. And I'm sure you would bring it up too, that we're opening up that weekend, the 20-year anniversary against the Broncos.
Yep.
And did we not play the Broncos the first game after?
No,
and I definitely think that was done on purpose too.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah, so we played the Broncos September 10th, 2001.
Right before, yes, yes.
And Ernie Palladino, he dedicates a whole. It's the reason why I brought up the book. He dedicates a whole chapter to talking about 9/11. So he played the Broncos. We bad loss. I believe it was Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great loss. And then the Giants actually come home. Giants come home, and United Flight 93 was sitting at the adjacent gate as the Giants were getting off the plane, which is bizarre. The Giants only learned that like weeks later.
Dude, that's eerie.
Yeah, right. I can't imagine like being one of those, being a player, or even just just having that experience, like being like that flight that walked right past them as they were waiting to get onto that plane.
Oh, that's so eerie. So
one of the things too that John Mara, he climbed up to the spiral, old Giant Stadium. They had the I don't know what you what would the
rings almost
the rings, yeah,
spiral stairs.
Yeah,
I guess you want to call it a sterile case.
Spiral ramp, whatever.
Yeah, it was a ramp. So he walked up to the spiral ramp.
The Bucks
and he was able to like to see the smoke as it was happening. So there's a lot of reflections on what people were doing that day, especially people that were in the building, because I think the team might have had off, but there were people in the building like Mara and Fossil and stuff like that. And what Wellington Mara was doing, because Wellington Mara was still alive at this point, he was calling the commissioner, Paul. I'm gonna get this.
Tagliabue.
Oh, there you go, Paul Tagliabue. About we need to suspend games this Sunday. Because actually, and this was bizarre, Pete Rozelle, who was the commissioner of the league at the time that John F. Kennedy died, they played football 48 hours later. They had a whole weekend slate of games after John F. Kennedy died and was assassinated 48 hours later. So that was shock. So John Mayer said, you still have families out there trying to find their loved ones. It was just too early to play. So I'm glad that the Maras and the Giants were kind of leading that charge, saying, hey, we should, like, it makes sense to wait. So enough with the sadness of everything. So yeah. The Giants go to Kansas City the next week. They go to Arrowhead. That's quite a start. It's quite a start to a season. You go to Denver on the road, and you go to Kansas City. It's kind of
two very difficult places to play.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Ernie Palladino brings it up. Regardless of whether the Kansas City Chiefs are winning or losing, Arrowhead Stadium, one of the loudest and toughest places to play any opponent they will ever walk into. It's a sea of red. But on September 23rd, 2001, Arrowhead Stadium turned blue. When the NFL reopened for business in its first game, back from the horrors of 9/11, the Giants were welcomed with an incredible and under any circumstances incongruous roar from the home crowd during pregame introductions. Ernie Palladino loves using big words. John Bon Jovi sang the national anthem as players and coaches wearing the caps of the NYPD, NYFD, and Port Authority. They sang along, some crying openly, and then here's Palladino. Snacks. Palladino always has like these little lines. Even some of the crusty press had tears in their eyes. he's an asshole.
Very subliminal. Very subliminal.
Yes. He gives us subliminal digs. He does a lot that towards Tiki in this book. For the first time since the towers fell, some felt sense of normalcy returned to the NFL. With the previous week's games canceled thanks to the urgings of Wellington Mara, the Giants players had spent the idle weekend floating over to ground zero on police boats. They went originally intending to help in removing the unfathomable amount of debris that caused the pile, as the workers called it. But all the recovery people wanted were handshakes, some football talk, something to distract them from their grim task. Nice to meet you, wide receiver Joe Jaravicious said to one of the dusting-covered diggers. You cost me money in my fantasy league, the fireman said. If you caught one of those passes from Kerry Collins through you Monday night, I would have won. Not his fault, the quarterback interjected. I should have thrown it farther out there. You're right, the fireman said. You should have. So that's pretty cool. They were very cool. They were BSing with each other. So even Greg Camella, it goes on kind of like later on the page. I know Snacks, Greg Camella's kind of like a fan favorite of you.
Yes.
Last week was the first time.
Hero.
Last week was the first time I questioned what I did for a living, what I contributed to society. But now I understand that I have a sense of purpose. We know entertainment is important. So a lot of those guys, what I really enjoyed that Palladino broke down, they were reflecting on like, what am I doing? Life? What are we doing? They're reflecting on a lot of like life factors, and going back to work and what I have to do is what needs to happen. Because even just being a football player and bringing that in entertainment, it's an important thing relative to a lot of other things.
No, you know what? It really is. And those heroes that were in ground zero and saying like, we want you guys to go play or talk football with us. Bad days that we've all probably had or bad weeks. And it's like, okay, the Giants are on Sunday. Those 4 hours, those 3.5 hours, nothing else matters. Literally nothing else matters. So the fact that 9/11 and that attack happened, and the Giants, who have, I don't want to say the week off, the games obviously needed to be moved, are going down there and trying to help and give their efforts and time and whatever they can for firefighters and policemen and all these workers down there saying, listen, talk football with us. Go play football. That's what we want. That's it. Really is just, it puts a lot of things into perspective. So like hearing Jaravicious and Camella talk about experiences like that is it's very eye-opening.
Yeah. And Kerry Collins kind of started a pretty good lifelong relationship with like the fire department and things like that. So those guys really did take it to heart. And even Jim Fossil, which next, we didn't talk about this. Jim Fossil's foundation raised more than $1 million to help family of those killed, including the 10 children of the late firefighter Frank Palumbo. So his foundation, just over the course of many, many years, raised millions and millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars, continuing to help families of those who lost loved ones, firefighters, families of firefighters who lost loved ones of during 9/11. And this is a quote, especially now, knowing that, Coach Fossil passed away. He had this quote towards the end of this chapter by Palladino. The foundation eventually made the biggest single contribution, $250,000 to first responder groups. We're all here just for a certain period of time, and you never know when it's going to end, Fossil said. That day changed my life. So Jim Fossil really did some awesome things with 9/11. And, we obviously, know Coach Fossil to be probably the most relatable Giants coach that we've had, that we all kind of maybe grew up with. If you grew up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, etc., most relatable Giants coach, and certainly he shows it right there.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's bad. It's bad on us. We didn't mention the foundation. I know we did talk about how much him and his wife and family did for their 9/11 efforts, but I'm glad you brought up the foundation now and how much they raised, and just hearing that day changed his life. So pretty amazing.
I wonder how many Giants fans who were involved in, for the police department, the fire department, has that picture of all the Giants players in those white jerseys, where you have like Fossil, Strahan, Tiki. Jason Garrett's face is front and center
right there,
of that one too, and it's a young Jason Garrett at the time. I think even Jesse Palmer, if I was a firefighter or police, a police man or woman during that time, that would be like my main piece of Giants memorabilia. It would be that. Probably would try to get signed too.
That was Fossil's main piece. Yeah,
we did talk
memorabilia. That picture was in his trophy case, and there was a NFL Films or whatever, they did some sort of little mini documentary on the Giants in 9/11, NFL post 9/11, and they interviewed Garrett, and Garrett actually teared up and he got emotional. So I'm sure that picture is somewhere near Garrett's desk too, and they all have that right there. So yeah, that's a very famous picture.
See, now I know we're getting a little off track. I really do though relate the Yankees more to that than the Giants. I mean, because you got to think the Yankees were winning they had just won the Subway Series. In fact, what's crazy is they were playing the Diamondbacks that night when Bush threw out the first pitch. That is one that just is burned in your memory. Bush throwing it right over the plate.
That's my favorite. Bobby,
that's the peak of the Yankees out of any of our lifetimes. Because they weren't great through the 80s or whatever. They were. I was more of a baseball fan at that time than a football fan because of how good the Yankees were.
Yeah, and I mean they're in the Bronx. They're the Giants are in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and every 9/11, the anniversary, that's the first thing I always watch is that George Bush first pitch in the World Series. Unbelievable. And to this day, it's still an unbelievable sports tragedy. They didn't wind up beating that team to win the World Series, but that's either here nor there. But I could see what you're saying. A little off topic, with the Yankees. And I mean, they were probably amazing too. Do we know off the top of anybody's head?
And I don't think that's even just for Yankees fans. If you ask any person, what sports moment do you relate to 9/11? It's
Piazza's home run. A lot of people are going to say
Piazza's home run's another good one. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
that is true. But the Yankees actually gave the Yankees actually gave New York City a chance to win that year. And I'm not crapping on the Mets or anything, not doing a comparison. But yes, Piazza's home run's huge. The first thing I think of, and that's a really good point, Bob. It was George Bush's first pitch, which was arguably the best first pitch in history, just at a pure strike level. And
to lighten up the mood, if I ever get a first pitch, some minor league, baseball teams, the team in Syracuse is let's have the Talkin Giants guys out, throw first pitch. I am curl hopping that ball into the stands. I'm getting on SportsCenter if I do that.
Why would you do that? Just to get on SportsCenter?
For publicity. It's and it would just be funny.
True
what
story.
Would my friends talk about most? Me wow, dude, congrats on throwing a ball straight and over the plate. Something we can all do. Or me curl hopping a ball into the stands.
Well, true story. A few years ago, I threw out the first pitch at a Brooklyn Cyclones game.
What'd you do?
Threw it down the middle. No one's talked about it since.
Exactly.
So you're right.
If you curl hopped it, that video I would share it on Twitter every other week.
Or if I just literally turned around and threw it in the outfield that way, something different.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's psycho.
That was a good moment. So yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, that was a good 9/11 segment, Justin, and I think we should get off that.
Yeah. So Giants history.
That's good history.
I mean,
that's a lot of
bring,
history.
I bring it up because, like I said, September is going to be an emotional month, and
Very.
we'll put a bow on it right now. I went to school in Jersey City, so I was 3 years old. I can't tell you a single memory from the day of 9/11, but, going to school in Jersey City, and, I worked in Jersey City for a little bit too. The area means a lot. Being a person from New Jersey and being a person, who's from the tri-state area, that means a lot to me. So I'm really looking forward to what the Giants are going to do for, whether it's pregame or maybe even some stuff throughout the week to kind of honor, remember, reflect. And I know, us as a nation, we're going to be doing that too. So what we do on Bleeding Blue is we do a lot of that. We do a lot of, storytelling but we haven't done it as much this off season. That was very much what we did last off season. We went back and we told a lot of stories. This off season has been a lot of segments. Actually, that's a lie. We're actually starting a new book, so it is going to be storytelling. The month of July is going to be storytelling. So if you like kind of that kind of style, that kind of flow, it's a little bit more conversational. So check out Bleeding Blue. It premieres every Monday, 6 p.m. on the Talkin Giants YouTube channel. Every Monday morning, 5 a.m. If you're a podcast person, that's when it's out. So check us out. Giants History Show. We have a lot of fun.
Enjoy. It's a good show. It's good.
All right.
I think at least.
Listen, I am really glad that Snacks is on this podcast because in a couple minutes, he's going to list the 4 most important things in his life. And the 4 most important things in Snacks' life is football, Giants football, family, breathing, and sex. Usually he doesn't throw the 4th thing in there, but he's throwing sex in there today. You're going to hear it in a couple minutes. I'm so glad that he's here because eventually he's going to get a little bit older. He may struggle a little bit in the bedroom, and that is where our good friends at Roman come in. GetRoman.com/world. And if you go to that site, you can get $15 off your first month, your first visit. So if you feel like maybe you're coming up a little bit short in the bedroom, nobody likes to come up a little short in the bedroom. That's okay. Go see our friends at Roman. You can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. You don't even have to get out. It's too hot. Whether you're in Florida, you're in New Jersey, it's too hot to leave your home. It's either too hot to leave your home or it's raining and it's pouring. With Roman, you don't even need to leave your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare provider, they will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. We don't like to wait. We're Americans. We want everything right now. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/world. Talkin Giants against the world. That's how you remember it. And complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without even leaving the comfort of your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with the doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/world. And now to get $15 off your first month, look, there's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. GetRoman.com/world. Get started now to save $15 off your first month of treatment. I know Snacks is going to use this. He may even need it now. Who knows? He just maybe doesn't want to admit it on the air. But I know he's definitely going to need it eventually because he's already a very old man. All right. Now Snacks and Bobby are going to shoot the shit just about the Giants. All right. So this is the part that was kind of fun last year where I kind of shut up, and I'm also struggling to talk right now because I've been talking for 2 hours. Snacks?
Yes.
You don't really get a chance to give your thoughts on the current Giants. The Giants
are, first of all, it's probably better that way.
Yeah, it is probably better that way. Because especially I think people are going to regret listening to the second half of the show.
I don't think so.
What's the list of priorities in your life, by the way?
Giants, family, breathing.
Giants, family, breathing. So
then sex.
And there you go. So sex is that a new 4th?
Yeah, I mean it's it's always been there, but I just don't like to say it out loud. So
you also have a Giants tattoo.
I do.
What's that tattoo?
It says only a giant across my back.
Only a giant for
in the Giants formatting, like their old school letters.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm a weird guy. Yeah.
I'm building up that you are a sick, sadistic Giants fan.
I am.
That's who you are.
Yeah.
You live and you breathe this football team. So
Unfortunately.
You're on a fantasy football show that never gives you the chance to talk about you give your thoughts about the current Giants.
How much did it bother you when there was like a few days where I kept on asking you fantasy football questions because you were annoying me?
Well, because I knew you were doing it to try and piss me off. Like I knew it. I wasn't stupid, and I knew after like the Nets onslaught too, it was gonna be that. That's a whole nother funny situation when, I went after all the Nets after all the takes and whatnot. And
I had no,
Bobby and
honestly, you didn't really annoy me that much. It was the people like, listen, if you hate the net, like, I'm glad that you admit you hate the Nets and don't be like, oh, no one cares. It's like you hate them. Like,
I hate them, and I've told you that.
And I wish more people would. What bothered me was the people trying to be like serious and being like, they should have just battled through injuries. I'm like, shut up. Like injury, like, and I've repeated this take like 20 times now. Like if the Suns win the finals, would they probably have won it if without all these injuries? No. But at the same, but I don't take that away from them. Like you have to stay healthy. But acting like the Nets were supposed to just battle through all these injuries and like, look, the Nets are a failure because it's like, no, they got unlucky. James Harden, who's been completely durable, got injured, and Kyrie Irving, who's had injury issues, landed on someone's foot. That wasn't a soft tissue injury. It was yeah.
No, I know, and I was literally I knew I was gonna do it that one night. Like if they lost, I would do it that night, and that was it. I think I sent one tweet out afterwards the next day, but that was it. I was like, give their medicine. That's all. But no, I wasn't annoyed at the fantasy football questions because they were just so utterly stupid, and I knew you didn't give a damn. So I knew it was just to get under my skin. And Justin's right. I don't get a chance to talk about the current time unless to you guys, because we're in a group chat together, so we kind of go back and forth a little bit. And Justin, I think I'm just gonna take it over real quick right here.
Do it. Give me your thoughts.
Obviously, on Twitter, everybody sees me how miserable and negative I am. It's part of who I am because I am a miserable, negative person, and I haven't had much to cheer about lately. Many years now, but I try and reverse jinx everything. It's just what I do. However, I think for the first time in 6-7 years, I'm feeling pretty good about this team, and it scares the ever-living piss out of me. It scares me. I love the direction they're heading in. I like what they could do this year. I think that secondary could easily be the best in football, and if you have a great secondary, the pass rushing that you may not have had before can generate some pressure just on coverage sacks. And they have guys that their second round pick. I'm going to botch his name, so I'm not even going to say it. Old Jalari. Did I botch it?
Yeah, good job.
Look at that. I think that kid's a real player, and we were saying that on draft night and how happy we were when we were live streaming. We picked up a third next year, and we got a guy that people projected us to pick at 11. And I think he's a ball player. I think there's Leonard Williams. If he can be what he was last year, that's huge. If Carter and Zimenez can produce something, that's great too. I worry a little bit about the athleticism at linebacker, which listen, I don't study him like you do. I wouldn't call Blake Martinez the most athletic guy in the world. He's a ball player for sure, ball player. Maybe my only concern there, but the defense is going to be stout. And the second year under Patrick Graham with just about the same guys, who missed? Dalvin? That's about it, right? Like they didn't lose anybody that's that big, and they're adding a fully healthy McKinney, Adoree Jackson. If he's healthy, he's going to be cornerback 2 to James Bradbury, who was a top 3 cornerback last year. So that's unbelievable. It all boils down to me, 3 things. And obviously it starts with Daniel, who I have to come to you guys to find the strength in me to start believing in him, which you guys do a good job of, by the way. You got Jason Garrett, who's the most anemic offensive coordinator maybe ever. I read Dan Duggan's article today with Dan Orlovsky, who I hate. Sorry. All about the motion and how the NFL nowadays, you need to do all these different things, and he just doesn't. So I'm hopeful that can change. And then to me, I think I'm most excited about the offensive line. They seem to have a lot of confidence in it. And I'm at the belief now in year 2. If Joe Judge has confidence in something, so do I.
I'm afraid of Matt Parrott.
Matt Parrott's who you're afraid of. Ooh.
Who should I be more? Jason Garrett and Matt Parrott are the two people that scare me.
That they scare you the most. Okay,
yes.
so
Matt Parrott can be really good, but that doesn't mean he's going to be good. You know.
No, for sure. And he was the 99th pick in the draft 2 years or last year, whatever it was.
The most reps he played was 26. It was the team had zero preparation on him. He never really played an NFL snap besides 1 or 2 as a jumbo tight end because Andrew Thomas had gotten suspended for the first quarter.
That's right. Now, see, Pert, I have high hopes on Pert. Maybe that's
I have high hopes, but I'm scared.
It's too hopeful, yes.
Like, I don't think Shane Lemieux is ever going to be a really good. Like, I don't think he has the potential to be really good. Matt Parrott has the potential to be really good, but Matt Parrott scares me more than Shane Lemieux because one is like Shane Lemieux's screw ups at guard can be hidden a little more than right tackle.
Right. Yeah. If you're getting beat at right tackle, then that's just a whole nother issue. The guard position. I'm not going to sit here and try and talk offensive line with you.
Well, especially left guard. You could just run away.
Well, that you could do. So, but it is nice to have 2 foundational pieces on the line. And I'm of the belief, I think Will Hernandez has it in him to be a solid guard. And I think maybe a change to right guard could help. I don't know. I don't know how you. I mean, I've heard it on the podcast before. And
I have hope for Will. He's never been challenged really in his life before. He's never had like this type of adversity.
And this is it right now. This is it.
Contract year, got essentially benched last year.
Yeah, he had the COVID thing, and then it was like, okay, Lemieux comes in and he's playing, and Will, you're forgotten about. And they had offensive line coaches changed, and now they have a new one who clearly you guys are high on, right? Slate from
Louisiana.
Yeah, he seems to be like the real deal. Like Judge hires him, he's got to be pretty good. I have way too much confidence in Joe Judge, if you can't tell. But they're young. They didn't add too much to it. Like Nate Solder coming back. Okay, Bobby, would you rather have Nate Solder start or Matt Parrott start?
Matt Parrott. If Nate Solder starts, is a disaster.
Yes,
because that means Matt Parrott is horrible.
Yeah, then we're much more doomed than we thought. So I'm glad we agree on that. I couldn't stomach Nate Solder starting at right tackle.
Snacks, you're somewhat confidence and comfort in saying that. You think I'm saying I don't think you're saying the Giants are going to win 12 games this year.
No,
but you're confident in the direction of the team, and you can confidently say this. That makes me think that we're going to win 2 games this year.
Correct. I was going to say 3, but yeah. I think they had a brilliant offseason. I loved, good teams, which the Giants have not been. Good teams manipulate the cap. They push money back to get good players in here. The Giants needed good players, and they got good players. Kenny Golladay, we all sat here. We tweeted back and forth at each other. We talked in our group chat like, this is the guy. We have to get Kenny Golladay. And they held him hostage for what?
Like
6
4
months?
days, man.
Like
on a Wednesday it came out. Like Wednesday, it's like, all right, prepare. I put together a film breakdown, and it didn't happen until like Saturday night, basically.
Crazy. And the fact that they got him was huge. And then Adoree Jackson gets cut out of nowhere, and that guy has been a very productive cornerback for Tennessee when healthy. And if he can be healthy, that makes the secondary from a strength that it already was to an even bigger strength. And I love putting strength on strength. Love it. And then you add a Kyle Rudolph. Could we score in the red zone last year?
We couldn't score at all last year.
Well, that is true. That was very good, guys. You should probably clip that. That was very good. But we couldn't score anywhere. We definitely couldn't score in the red zone. Kyle Rudolph's got 40 touchdown catches in the red zone. Like, that is a perfect target for Daniel Jones. Not to mention, I don't care what anybody says, where he was drafted, whatnot. You bring back Saquon Barkley. The offense has all the weapons right there.
Dude, we just talked about the receiving. Like, what Saquon did in 1 week of receiving versus Pittsburgh, the Giants never got close to having their running backs do that as a whole in a single game.
Ridiculous.
Like, I know there's arguments about the Saquon pick, but there is no denying that he is a game changer. And we really had no game changers on offense. Like, their only game changer was essentially Daniel Jones throwing a perfect pass or running for 40, 50 yards, plus.
Exactly.
We had think about our yak. Was there any play where Darius Slayton had a bunch of yak? Sterling Shepard?
No.
Golden
Sterling
Tate, the
Shepard.
Yak King?
That's Sterling Shepard. That's it. There was no other yak option. No.
Yeah, but was it even that much?
Caden
Like,
Smith
it
led
wasn't
our team in
sufficient.
yak per catch.
That's just that can't happen at all. And I think Rudolph is an upgrade over Caden Smith, who I like. I like Caden Smith.
I'm a Caden guy.
I like Caden a lot too. Daniel's rookie year, they had some nice little chemistry going. You want to hope that Engram can start catching the ball, because it really does piss me off how much of an athletic freak he can be over the middle against slower linebackers and everything. If he could just run routes and catch the ball, it would be really, really nice. But the offense, the weapons are there. The weapons are there, and I have this weird confidence in this offensive line with the coaching, with another year under their belts. That's my belief. That's my hope. I'm praying that if they come off to a slow start on offense again, Garrett has a short leash. To me, I think that needs to be the case. I don't think you promote a Freddie Kitchens to not tight ends coach to whatever the hell his title is now. You bring in this young guy from, I think LSU, they brought him in. He needs to have a short leash. And they have three winnable games to start off this season.
Yeah.
If they're 1-2 and their offense is sputtering, or they're 0-3,
We're
he's
1-2.
gotta go.
It is. Oh
It's
my!
a disaster.
It is,
It's a
It is
disaster.
hellfire.
I mean,
Disaster.
Snacks, what has been our, especially think of 2019, when, Died Bleeding Blue and, our big 2019 August, September theme, and the reason why I peer pressured you and I basically helped end a relationship to get you to go to that Vikings game. A relationship in your life, I basically ended it.
Pretty much, yeah. No offense, you started it, but
I started. Well, I didn't start the relationship. I ended it. But why?
Yeah.
Like, why? What was the overall theme of what we wanted?
we wanted to be competitive. We wanted to be in the dance. We wanted to be in the mix.
Relevant football,
relevant
at
football,
least in October and November.
Right? And we were, and this was what I think it was October.
We were 2-2. We were 2-2.
It was relevant football. We were playing for first place. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not missing it.
Yeah.
And I missed a very big engagement party, all these things, blah, 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 blah. It's my ex-girlfriend now. Justin, way to go. You really ruined that 5-year relationship down the drain because of you. But anyway, it's true, though. Now I have expectations. I want an NFC's title. I don't think I'm going to be happy with that one, to be honest. I don't know, where would your expectations lie that you're like, okay, this was a good season? Is it not
if Dallas NFC East title or wild card team, and it's like 2016, where it's like, yeah, we were a really good team, but Dallas went 13-3.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Now, no playoffs, I think, is a failure.
Oh yes, no playoffs is a failure.
Okay, all right, we're all on the same page,
and it's a failure on the whole team. Whether you can point at whether it's Jason Garrett or Dan, it's a failure as an entire team if they don't make the playoffs.
Yep. I could not agree more, because like last year going into the season, I didn't really expect that much. We had a rookie head coach, a second year quarterback, no training camp, nothing. And yes, the division was the worst that football's ever seen, but they were a Jalen Hurts benching away from hosting a playoff game. Now you have to expect.
So fun to be obnoxious that week.
And they would have. I'm telling you right now that they would have beat Tampa.
We would have beat Tampa. I really think I would have been so confident. I would have been. And what's something that's really funny that people will point out to me with Jason Garrett when they try to defend him? They'll be like, well, he opened the offense up that Tampa game and Jones didn't get it done. It's like, you know what? You're right. Jones had his worst game. And guess what? It was still one of our best offensive games against a team that was Super Bowl defense. We still had mid 20 points, which the highest points our offense scored all year was 27 when Jones played perfect versus Philly. So it's like, even with Jones playing horrible in that game, we scored points that we didn't in these other games where Jones didn't have mistakes.
No, it's so true. And I think there was 2 plays where he had 2 receivers running flies that they should have thrown to. I'm not even so mad about that. The only
interceptions were the dumbest interceptions ever thrown,
dude.
College or
so
NFL.
Bad.
They were wasn't even if you're down 11, they were somewhere like Eli has a lot of those.
Yes.
They were those typical Eli interceptions where it was like we were
trying to make something happen.
What are you trying to make happen here? It's we're winning the game and you're just throwing these
throwing it away.
I had never been more depressed after a Giants game probably since then, because how invested I am into like Talking Giants, I was miserable.
Yeah, and how much stake you have in Daniel Jones and to be proven. I also the 2-point conversion. You throw that ball just a second quicker.
Then we're in over. Yeah,
It's
that's
a
the other
walk-in.
thing.
It's a
It's like we
walk-in.
could have
We're
been in
playing in
overtime,
overtime.
and he double he
Double pumped it.
hesitated for half a second.
And that was it. And I
brutal
hated the
game.
it was pass interference. Like obviously
damn.
in the moment I'm
I'm
screaming.
going to turn
pass
the
interference.
volume up for this.
Because I don't know, Ken Circo. I like.
I want to know if I'm going to this Falcons game. I got a raffle on
okay,
License
yeah.
Plate
All
Guys
right,
raffle.
so Bobby's doing the LPG raffle. So that means we should wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up because I'm really invested. I really want to win this.
Well,
raffle.
real quick, I'm very impressed that we didn't really disagree on much. This was good. This was good. I think we're in agreement on almost.
I got to re-listen to last year's. I think the only thing we really disagreed on was Shermer. Maybe I can't even remember.
Probably. I mean, I'm the most ridiculous fan in the world, and we talk on the side, but our beliefs and our what do you call them? I don't know. They all align pretty much, and I think we're all in agreement here. So, guys, thank you very much for having me. I had a blast.
All right, so go give usually podcasts do this.
All right, I'm leaving.
All right, go ahead. Bye, Bobby.
Good luck, Bobby.
Nice to see you. Send me your audio. He's not going to send me the audio.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. So yeah, thanks for tuning in this week. Go give Snacks a follow on Twitter at snacks_BDGE. Usually podcasts do that. Corny podcasts do that. I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you have a podcast that does that. You're a little corny if you do that. Go give Snacks a follow on Twitter at snacks_BDGE. Check out the YouTube channel Fade to Public because they do some fun stuff if you like fantasy football, or even if you just like they're funny and they do some like funny stuff. It's not just fantasy.
We have a comedy show too where we don't talk much sports and we just talk life, and it's called Animals House. And
Animals House.
It's a lot of fun.
Well done edited. That's what I was about to say. Well done edited. It's very well done.
It's fun. Yes. So thank you for that shout out. And I truly do love coming on talking Giants. This is like my this is my my Mona Lisa of the year. So I hope it went well. And thank you, boys. Justin, again, congrats. I love you very much, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, Snacks. So keep on bleeding blue. Keep on talking Giants, some might say. So until next week, everybody have a great weekend. So I'm this weekend that, so today is July 9th that you're listening to this, I believe that you're listening to this July 9th. So I'm going to Ocean City, Maryland in real time this weekend to have like a nice little 4-day weekend. So until next week, let's go Big Blue.